Hey guys, this is a sped up version of how I created the medics for Husky Tales Episode 3. I'm going to be using some assets from the Marine and also from the iJustine animation test that I did. As always, all of my materials are going to be created within Flash, and I'm going to be using my Wacom tablet to be drawing out and sketching a lot of assets in the beginning. Just playing around with different torso shapes here. I obviously want to give the medic a little bit more flattering figure than the Marine has. And I don't think I'm going to be going with pink armor in the end, but it's just a nice shape to give a little bit of contrast to what else I already have on the screen here. Now, unfortunately, there will be some artifacting that shows up later on in the video. I just wanted to give a little heads up and apologize in advance for it, but it's just a problem I had with the screen capturing software after it started recording like half an hour of footage. So I'm just going to be throwing down some shapes here, trying to figure out a certain style that I want for the medic. I'm not going to be copying the armor bang on, it's just something that I like to do. I'd mentioned it in the subscriber video. I really like to throw my own style onto all of these characters. And I've just decided to try to sketch out a few different objects instead of going with the laying down shapes here. I think it might be a little bit more efficient. And just to reiterate, I am using the Wacom Intuos 4. It's a medium-sized tablet, and it works pretty good. If you can't really afford something like that, you can probably use the Bamboo and use very similar results. I had mentioned this in my Flash setup video. I just wanted to thank everyone who's been watching these videos, all of my subscribers, the guys who give these videos thumbs up. You know, it goes a long way to really help building this channel. And, you know, I hope to release a lot more great videos for you guys in the future. I also wanted to mention that we did have a writers meeting for Husky Tales, and we're hoping to go back to more of a style that we had in episode 1, and not so much of a slapstick style that we did in episode 2. So I can guarantee that the episodes are definitely going to be getting a lot better. So now I'm just going to start building the face. I'm going to be using a lot of shapes and then just tweaking them with the line tools. I find that laying down shapes like squares and then going in and manipulating the actual curves on the outside of the shape is a little bit more efficient, for Flash anyways, than drawing out artwork with the brush tool, because you get a lot of vector points along the edges of the brush stroke, and it just it becomes a little messy later on when you're trying to manipulate a curve. I'm just working away on the eyes here. I would have used the iJustine eyes and just copied them over, but I found that they're a little bit too big, a little too playful, and I'm trying to create a little bit more of a sexy look here in the medic. So just playing around with the smooth command here, one little odd thing that I found is that the smooth command function changes its strength based on how far in you're zoomed in. So the further in you're zoomed into your artwork, the weaker it'll be, and the further zoomed out it is, the smooth function becomes a little bit stronger. It's an oddball thing that it takes a while to get used to, and I mean, Flash really wasn't meant to be a design software. And you saw there, because I have my artwork on different layers, I was able to move around the eye line just a little bit to extend it, and I didn't have to go in and recreate that shape. And just using the intersect tool here to isolate the eyelid shape. A little trick that you can use to help yourself with coloring female makeup, and this works for any artist, is watching the YouTube makeup tutorials. If you're having a problem, you know, choosing like blush and lipstick and things like that, things that I mean, you might be completely unfamiliar with. And this is a good example of why you should lock all your layers. I'm just trying to grab the eyeshadow shape underneath so that I can clean up the artwork a little bit. And just working on the nose here, you'll see that I don't keep the shape asymmetrical, and that's just something that I try to do with all of my shapes. I mean, obviously the eyes are a bit of an exception because you eventually start working with a lot of different eye shapes, and you don't want to have different artwork for, you know, your blinks and your closed eye shape. So that's something that I'll mirror. But because nature doesn't keep things asymmetrical, I just find it helps a little bit more in my designs. Just working away on the hairstyles here, I have a browser open in another window and I'm just Googling different types of hairstyles. I really don't know what kind of style I want to give the medic yet. But I do want it to be fairly simple and clean. I won't create anything like curls, and I just don't want it to be too distracting from the main design. Just bringing in a square here and then manipulating the curves and the points just to get the shape that I want. And just creating a little split in the front by using the larger hairpiece and then shrinking it down and stretching it to the way I want. And just trying to create it look a little bit more natural here. Obviously it should be wider at the top and then get smaller as it goes down. And just working on the ears here, one little coloring tip that I kind of discovered was instead of extending the shadow and highlight color beyond the ears, I used the neutral color from the center of the face, and it gave it a little bit more of a contrast when I was creating them. So I realized that the mouth is a little bit too large, and so I'm going to go in and highlight all the keys with the select all keys tool and scale them all at the same time. I think I missed one of the layers here, so I have to go back and correct it and unlock that layer. Just adding a little bit of color on the cheeks here. This is where you can see the screen capturing software really starting to mess up a lot. It's I guess it just wasn't designed to capture very light color changes. And again, just using another asset I had from iJustine, just taking her eyebrows and changing them. In the animation test I did for Husky, one of the comments was that Husky's eyebrows and his hair color weren't the same color, and I completely missed that when I was designing it and working on it. So when I was working on this medic here and I did her eyebrows, that comment popped in my head. I think every time I create heads now, that's one of the first comments that I remember, trying to remember to keep the eyebrows and the hair color the same color. And just stretching the face again, and I'm going to use I'm just going to blow out the top of the head here. Again, using the all keys. And yeah, I'm really happy with this head shape here. I just want to probably add some highlights and lowlights into the hair just to give it a little bit more contrast, bring it out a little bit. Yeah, a lot of artifacting going on here in the hair. I apologize for that. And I was having a real hard time with, I had a real hard time with those curves just from using the brush tool and then breaking it down. So again, I went back to my tried and true square, and I was able to get a lot better shape out of it quicker. Because when you create that brush, it probably creates a lot of vector points along the edge of the hair, and and it was picking those up when I was smoothing it. So I went to the so I just went back to the square, and it automatically creates such a simple line on the side that you can manipulate it a lot easier. I'm just playing around. Oh, I'm trying to putting everything into a group here because I'm going to, I'm making everything their own object, converting it to a symbol, and that way when I go inside of it later, I'll be able to just distribute to later layers and be able to set it up a lot easier. And just working on the shoulder here. Trying to organize my layers a little bit more. And I don't want to use the same sort of setup that I have in the Marine, so I'm just trying to create a little bit more of a curved, rounded edges on a square. But I don't really want to continue on with the circle design that I had in the Marines. Just creating the cross here. Keeping the crosses two separate pieces of artwork so that if I need to, I can go into the them and change the change the entire directions like that. Where is if it was one design, you would be manipulating the points from the center of the cross. So that's a neat little thing that I've learned just from trial and error, and originally creating it being one piece of art, and then and having the problem where you can't really keep the lines parallel with each other. Just creating the back of the helmet here. I don't want anything too fancy for the helmet, so it'll probably just be a black circle back there. And just playing around with the front of the armor here, I'm not 100% sure if I want to keep this shape or not while I'm working on it. It's just it's a little distracting, I found, but it does help bring the two pieces, like the two shoulders, it helps connect that artwork and makes it a little bit more believable as geometry in this space. With Flash, you have a problem where objects are sitting around each other and it kind of looks like they're floating, and I usually find that shadows and highlights can really help fix those up a lot. And using the Marine glove here and changing around artwork, and I was lucky enough that the hands were one piece and the wrists are another piece, and I was able to go in and recolor them, and I'm pretty happy with that. I really didn't want to create new hands. Just changing up the boot here. I don't want to recolor it. I want to create a new design for them. I don't even know if you'll ever see them in the episode, but just something a little different design than what the Marines have. Just something a little bit more fun. Okay, just working on the torso here. I still want to keep it fairly cartoony, and I want to be able to give her, you know, a sexy figure, something that's nice, but I don't want it to really break from the style that I already have in the show, where, you know, people like the Marines and Husky, they're pretty frumpy looking, and and I don't want to, you know, I don't want to break the style just because I'm bringing in a different type of character. I still want to keep things the same way that they are throughout this universe. So I found that playing with the, you know, this inside of the armor, this little highlight piece here, I can, you know, I can suggest, you know, that thinner frame without having to go out to really create, like, modify the way that I've already set things up. I was looking at this design here. I really liked that, the way that stripe ran up, but I don't think I would. You'd have to do a lot of work across the chest, and there would have been a lot of highlight and low light work on that I really didn't want to get into. And just connecting chest here. Trying to keep things like fairly similar. There's a lot of, you know, a lot of curves, and I didn't want the objects just kind of. I didn't want the chest line to break in the center. So we're getting pretty close to a finished product here. I'm pretty happy with the way everything looks. It's got a good contrast all around. And I really like that the hair color, I mean, obviously Blizzard would have designed it that way, that she's probably a redhead to match the crosses on her shoulder. I'm just creating a little bit of depth here and behind the helmet, but you're really not going to see it that much. Again, I'm having a bit of a problem with this piece in the front. I don't know if I can get rid of it. Could be gone for good. Yeah. See, and at this point here, I didn't know if I really enjoyed the squared off shoulders anymore, and I tried to see what it was going to be like with the rounded shoulders, but it just doesn't play the same way I found that the Marine design did, and I didn't really like it. So I decided to go back. I think I just, I just had to undo it to go back to what I originally had. And yeah, I like these shoulders a lot more. I think they fit too with the medic design on the reference drawing. I didn't create any highlight on it, obviously. I mean, I could have if I lowered it, if it wasn't a flat white. Okay, bringing in Husky here and trying just to see what sort of size comparisons I'm working with or what kind of problems I've created. And so now I'm just playing around, trying to make things very similar. Obviously, if you look right away, like I'm going to change this, but her hands are a lot larger than Husky's. And so I'll be playing around with that. Her head was a lot smaller. And so I'm just going in with these objects that they're in their own pieces of, they're their own artwork, so I can manipulate them and just scale things around until I get what I want. Creating a bit of a shadow here on the bottom of her helmet, and that's just to give a little bit of contrast between her head and her chest. I didn't really want it just to be one, like a flowing piece of white there. There's that hand problem. You can see a lot of artifacting going on in the background. I might change the screen recording software that I use for next time. And yeah, I think that is pretty much it. I think I'm going to do a little play around here, try to add some hair. And I don't know if I have that at the end of this video or not, but I ended up not going with it. And just making sure everything's labeled properly, making sure everything on its proper layer, and repasting it, distributing it. When you redistribute it, if you have them named as symbols, that'll automatically name the layer the same as the symbol, so it's very helpful for creation process. But yeah, I think this is pretty much the final Medic. So I hope you guys enjoyed this creation video here. And if you do, please thumbs up this video and subscribe and stay tuned.